Alright, this is going to be the layers tutorial that you put on the list for Tony. This will be the second tutorial that I've done. The other tutorial that I did is about 40 minutes long, but we've decided to post that one on YouTube. I just finished your images tutorial, and now we're on to the layers. So I already have Photoshop open. I'm using CS4, of course, but it's pretty much the same thing with all versions. We're going to go ahead and open up a new project. Doesn't matter what the name is, or we're just going to do 1,000 width by 1,000 height. Make sure it's in pixels. To get really high quality, you want to do the resolution about 300. So there we have our project, and your first thing is managing layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple layers. So I'm going to give you the quick version, and then I'm going to give you the long version. The quick version is Shift Control N, and it pops up your new layer box. You can name it whatever, and you can change the base colors, but I don't recommend using those because they're kind of pale, as you can see. So it's just layer 1, and then I'll go ahead and give it a color. So you go to the paint bucket tool, which is right here, right below your eraser. And then you'll go down to the two sets of boxes that you have here. One's the darker one right here is the color that I'm going to be using in my paint bucket tool. So I'll change it to this aqua, and then you click on your layer and it paints your layer that color. Now, to show you the long way to make a layer, you go up here to layers, new, and layer. What it does, and it also gives you the key command that I told you, which is Shift Control N, and then same options pop up, and we'll make it a different color. Since we already have the paint tool selected, we'll make this one a gray, and we'll go ahead and do one more. Shift Control N, and then we'll make this one a red. So we have 3 different colors going on. Now, you can manage the order. Sometimes with these colors, they're pretty predominant, so it's kind of hard to deal with. So what we're going to do is on layer 3, I'm going to use the rectangular marquee, and I'm going to draw the rectangle on top, and then I'm going to give it a paint color, and I'm going to paint it black. Now all the rectangles are going to be black, and as you can see, inside the rectangle is black. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit Control D for deselect, and that'll take the marquee off of it. And then as you see in our layers, it has that black box on this red one, and I can take it off. This eye icon, which will let it just basically means it's visible or not. When it's there, it's visible. When you click it off, it's not. So that way I can work on the other ones without interfering with this one. So what you want to do is select layer 2, and make sure when you're doing anything that you select the correct layers. We're going to make another one about right here in the middle. Paint inside, Control D to deselect. Then we're going to take that one off, and the first layer we're going to make our final one. Rectangle tool, paint bucket, make sure it's black, and there we go, and then Control D to deselect. Now we're going to enable them all, and as you can see, all the different colors are kind of slapped together on top of each other, and you can't see because of the way the layers are going. Now if you wanted this layer to be on top, you click it, you left click it, and you can just drag it on top in your layers box, and it'll show you, and it'll put this layer on top, and then the red is still there. Now 90% of the time when you start Photoshop, sometimes this won't be showing, so you'll want to double click layers right here, and it'll bring them up. See, I double clicked it off, double clicked it on. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the opacity effect, which will let me show you all 3 of them together. What I'm going to to do is I'm going to make it opaque. And as you see, I have the black square is actually turning red because of the fact the red is the next layer. And then it has the green up here because of the top layer. So that one's opaque. And we're going to change the red opaque to show you all three. And as you can see, it gets lighter. This is the red box, this is the grays box, and this is the turquoises box. And that basically covers your background layers using various colors. It also goes over the opacity tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these, and you can manage them. You can, as I just did, you click on, say you click on layer 1, hit shift and hold it, and hit layer 2, and that will select all of these, and you can drag it down to the folder and put them all together in a little group folder, and I'll name it layers. And when you drop it down, it has those inside, and it's a lot easier to maintain because I can have all these on and have it closed and just hit that and it'll all go away. So I'm going to create a new layer, Control Shift N, or Shift Control N, create a new layer and create a gradient of the background color. So what we're going to do is, since I have a red, I'm going to go ahead and make it red just to give it a little bit of feel. And then we're going to go ahead, now you can do this two ways. You can go to the effect, which is easier if you want to apply a gradient to the certain layer, which is basically, this can be used as a background. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be the background exact layer. It doesn't have to be this one. As long as this is on the bottom, this will be used as the background, because I can turn it off if it's unlocked, but it won't let me unlock it at the moment. So what you'd have to do is, just because I have this window open, but see, I can go down here and I can delete the background layer, and then I don't have a background. It's all clear. So this would be the background layer basically. And you can do it the easy way. Open this, double click over here on this open space. Don't click right here, it'll just make you change the name. And then you bring it up and go to gradient overlay. It'll automatically click it, and it'll go ahead and put a default gradient on there, which is black to white. Now you can change this to a bunch of different ones. It can be red to white, or red all over to transparent, or the list goes on. Now what we're going to do here is, see, it has black to white and it's opaque. So if you wanted to use a background, use this as a background, these two buttons right here are the opacity, and those deal with that. Now if you go down here and hit this button and go to color, you can change the color. So like, I'll change it to a red, and see how it turned to red to white. And I can go over here and I'll choose black, and you have to OK, and you see how it turned the black to red to black. And you can go over here on the scale and make it as pronounced, or see, there it is, really pronounced, and that's a scale at 10, and this is at 150, and it blurs it out, and this is what normally we use. And then you hit OK, and then you have your gradient from your background. The next thing we're going to go over is placing different borders with different colors on a layer, and overlaying a background on. I believe I've actually already went over that. If not, I went over that with the opacity. If not, then just let Tony know, and either me or him can go in depth to it. I don't want to sit here and ramble on about something that I've already showed you, because then that'll seem pointless after a while to you. So we have our red, which is our gradient, And next item is create a layer with various texts and shapes and overlay on a background layer. So what we're going to do is Shift Control N, create a new layer. As you see, it's clear. What we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the text box, and we're going to click that text box, and we're going to have white text to stand out. And you'll just go in here and draw you a little text area, and I'll make it about 30, and then you can either align left, center, or right. I'll use center. Type thank you, and then you can click the move tool and it will take that box away and you can move it around. Now with this, if you ever need to edit this text, just go back to the text tool and don't sit here and put it right here and try to edit, because as you see, it has on the cursor, it has those two little boxes on each side. You don't want that, because that'll just make a new text box. What you want is to get it to look like it is now between the T and the A, where there's no boxes on it, and then it'll let you change it. So I can change it to for viewing. And then there's the thank you for viewing. There's your text on your background overlay. Now we're going to create another layer, which is normally every time that you make a shape or put text, you want to do another layer. That way it's easier to manage. So what we're going to do is we wanted a shape, so we'll do the elliptical marquee, which is basically circles and ovals, whatever you decide to draw with it, and we'll do it white as well. So we'll control D, and you have this white circle on your gradient on your background, and you can move it, and because it's higher up than thank you for viewing, it's going to cover it up if you move it up. Now you can always change that by moving thank you for viewing, and it's selected, so because it's that color, it's not really going to show up, so I'll change it to a different color, about blue, just to show you what it does. And then because it's above, and see how it stands out on the background. So that is how you put shapes and text on the background. Just create new layers, and when you use text, it automatically creates a text layer, so you don't really have to worry about creating a new layer. But when shapes, create a new layer with Shift Control N and then draw your shapes. Now your next and final piece that you requested is create a layer with an image and overlay on the background layer. So I went over this basically in the first one, so I'll just do a little refresher. I'm going to use this Hiei image, which is an anime character, and it has a lot of white. So what we're going to do is you're going to go, because we last used the elliptical tool, we're going to go and we're going to right click, or left click, I'm sorry, and hold it down so we can choose the rectangular marquee. We're going to go along the outsides of the image. We're going to hit Control C for copy. We're going to go back to our project, and we're going to hit Control V for paste. And as you see, it automatically created a layer here. So what we're going to do is I'll increase magnification to 100 so you can see a little bit better. And I'm going to take the tool and I'm going to go along the outskirts of the image. I'm going to go to, that way it's all selected, go to Select, Color Range, and I'm going to take out all the white. So you use this little color dropper tool and hit the white, and you'll see how it's just all white right here. Now if you hit the black or any other color, this image will change. So I'll show you in a test. See how it changed, how the white in this little box is what you're going to be taking out. On here, if you click white, you see how it's all white right here. This is what's going to be taken out. Now if I go to red, all the red will be taken out, so it appears as white over here. I know it's a bit confusing, but the more you use it, the more you'll get used to it. So what you do is you click OK after selecting the white, and as you see, it outlines the image. Everything in the image that's staying, it outlines. So you'll hit delete, and then all that white is gone. And then you'll hit Control D for deselect. Now, because this image was it wasn't really high quality, there's still a little bit of pixels. With the more high quality your image is, you don't really have to worry about these little pixels. And this line right here was because my marquee wasn't up enough. But for this basis, it shows you that you can put it on there, and then you can put the text back, and you can put that on there. So as you see, we'll go back out to 50%. I put the image in there inside the oval, and then I put the text back on. So if I wanted to, I'd go up here, put thank you for viewing, transform it a little bit, hit Control T to transform this image. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. You got to be careful when doing it, because sometimes you'll pixelate it depending on the resolution you chose when starting the project. And as you see, I made it a little bit bigger, and I'll throw my image on there. So I have the image that I can take off, and it's just the shape and the text, and I can take the text off, and then it's just the image and the shape, or you can take them all off. And to group them together, you want to click the highest layer, which is the text, then hit the lowest layer, which is the shape, and you drag it down to the folder icon, and it'll put it in a folder group 1, and I'll name it image for this sake. And as you see, it drops it down, and there's all the images. It's just an organization tool. And if you want to make a copy of it, in case you want to test something out without messing up the original, then all you got to do is sit here and drag the selected layer to this tool right here, right next to the trash can, and it'll make a copy. So I can turn it off and turn it on, turn that off, turn them both on. So it's just a copy of everything that's in this folder. That should be about everything. If you have any more questions or need anything else done, then please feel free to give us a message, send us an email, or give us a phone call. Thank you for viewing this.